This mosaic, created from images taken by NASA's Cassini spacecraft during its closest flyby of Saturn's moon Mimas on February 13, 2010, looks straight at the moon's Herschel crater and reveals new insights about the moon's surface. Herschel crater gives Mimas its Death Star appearance. It is about 80 miles 130 kilometers wide. Credit NASA's Space Science Institute with a giant crater covering a significant fraction of its surface. Saturn's gray moon Mimas resembles a real-life Death Star from the Star Wars movies. Along with its Pac-Man-shaped thermal imaging, the icy satellite provides some fascinating images. The moon also has a strange interior that can't quite be explained yet from observations from the Cassini spacecraft. A 2014 study found that the libration wobbling of Mimas, caused by interactions between its rotation and its orbit around Saturn, was more pronounced in one particular spot. This suggests that the interior is not uniform in some way. Perhaps there are different materials or densities, or perhaps its core is oval-shaped. An ocean is a less distinct possibility because any heat generated would likely escape through the icy surface, freezing what is inside, the study added. This would make Mimas different from other icy moons in the Saturn system that likely have oceans, most particularly Enceladus, famous for its dozens of spewing geysers. Using his 40-foot reflector telescope, English astronomer Sir William Herschel discovered his second moon of Saturn on September 17, 1789, the seventh known satellite at the time. Herschel had spotted Enceladus less than a month before. At the time, the icy bodies were named based on their distance from the ringed planet. As Mimas had the closest orbit, in fact, it is the closest of Saturn's major moons, it was termed Saturn I at WASNT until 1847 that Herschel's son, John, suggested the satellites around the gas giant be named after the Titans, the mythological siblings of the Greek god Cronus, known to the Romans as Saturn. In Greek mythology, Mimas was slain during the war between the Titans and the Olympians. Varying accounts have the Titan slain by Hercules, by Ares, or by Zeus. According to legend, Mimas' serpent legs continued to hiss after his death, seeking vengeance on his killer. The island of Prochyte, which lies near Sicily, is said to rest on his body. Mimas has one of the most heavily cratered surfaces in the solar system. The overlapping depressions cover the surface, with several reaching sizes of 25 miles 40 kilometers in diameter. Many of these overlap. In the South Pole, however, craters are smaller than 12.4 miles 20 kilometers across, indicating the region underwent some form of resurfacing later in its history. Photos of Mimas, Saturn's Death Star moon. The most noticeable sign of impact is the gaping Herschel crater, which spreads across an enormous portion of the satellite. At 88 miles 140 kilometers across, the crater covers nearly a third of the moon's 246-mile 396 kilometers diameter. A similarly sized crater on Earth would be 2,500 miles 4,000 kilometers in diameter. Scientists think that the impact nearly demolished the tiny moon. Shock waves from the crash appear on the far side of the satellite. This figure illustrates the unexpected and bizarre Pac-Man-like pattern of daytime temperatures found on Saturn's small inner moon Mimas. The heat map was compiled from data recorded by the Cassini spacecraft during a February 13, 2010 flyby of Mimas. Credit NASAJPLGSFCSWRISSI. The giant bullseye gives the crater a similar appearance to the Death Star. The resemblance is coincidental, however Mimas is so small that features on it weren't seen until the Voyager space probe spotted it in 1980, 3 years after the blockbuster Star Wars premiered. A temperature map created by data from NASA's Cassini spacecraft also reveals a Pac-Man-shaped figure, seemingly prepared to gobble up the massive crater. Temperatures around the crater are cooler than more distant regions of the moon, with a warm spot showing up at the crater itself. A similar shape shows up on another of Saturn's moons, Tethys. The iconic configuration could occur as high-energy electrons bombard the leading edge of the satellites in their orbits, turning it into hard-packed ice that shifts its temperature more slowly than other parts of the moon's. Although the moon is the smallest of Saturn's major satellites, it apparently cleared sufficient material to create the 2,980-mile 4,800 kilometers wide gap between the two largest rings. Known as the Cassini division, the large break sits between Saturn's A and B rings. Saturn and its north polar hexagon dwarf Mimas as the moon peeks over the planet's limb. Saturn's A ring also makes an appearance on the far right. Image released March 18, 2013. Credit NASA's Occultech Space Science Institute. Traveling only 115,280 miles 185,520 kilometers from Saturn, Mimas is the closest major moon orbiting the planet. It journeys around the giant once every 22 hours and 37 minutes, keeping one face perpetually turned toward its primary. The density of the moon is only 1.17 times that of liquid water, leading scientists to conclude that it is composed primarily of water ice, with only a small sample of rock. At temperatures of -209 degrees Celsius (-344 degrees Fahrenheit), the frozen surface behaves much like rock. Mimas has a slightly elliptical orbit, which should cause more tidal heating in its interior. It lies closer than its fellow moon, Enceladus. But the active geysers that are plentiful at the south pole of Enceladus lie in stark contrast to the heavily cratered, unchanging surface of Mimas. The disparity has led to the creation of the Mimas test, which requires any theory explaining the plumes of Enceladus to also account for the entirely frozen surface of Mimas. A 2016 presentation at the American Astronomical Society suggests that Mimas, as well as other moons of Saturn, has craters that could have been caused by debris from a previous generation of moons. Semi-major axis of orbit 115,289 miles 185,539 kilometers, closest approach 113,029 miles 181,902 kilometers, farthest approach 117,549 miles 189,176 kilometers, orbit eccentricity 0.0196, mean radius 123 miles 198 kilometers, equatorial circumference 774 miles 1,245 kilometers, surface area 190,599 square miles 493,648 square km, escape velocity 0.099 miles per hour 0.159 kilometers per hour. Additional reporting by contributor Elizabeth Howell.